Okay, the talk is called Text Code Performance. And before I start, I'd like to have a disclaimer before.
No way.
Yeah, because that's usually what you do, what you see when you install a computer program. You have to press some button. You usually don't read the whole text, and I make a short one. So, because I wrote this program in which I present the whole thing, this program is unfinished, so it's not complete yet. It may contain errors. In my case, also because I work with letters a lot, the typography might lack, and of course, because it's a program, it might crash. Yeah, shortly about me, I think you all heard this in the introduction, so I consider myself mainly as an artist, then maybe secondly as a poet. I do music, which is also sometimes poetry, and I studied computer science, which helps a little bit in creating all the stuff I do. Yeah, I got a website which is very important because I haven't, as a poet, you should publish a book, and I haven't done that yet. So I use my website as a publication, as a way for publication, and also as a space to create art, to show art, but also as an artwork in itself. So if you visit the website, it's here. I will show it at the end, so you don't have to write it down, but you will find my name, and you can see all these things if you're really interested. Yeah, why is it called Text Code Performance? First, that's the Latin alphabet, as you all know. It's text. That's a text. You can read it, you can spell it. That's a text. But it's also some code, because in the computer it's encoded into numbers, and also because the sequence is really, it's the alphabet, each of these alphabets have a sequence, so it starts with the A, B, C, so that's a code. You can also transcribe it into numbers. That's the code. But also because you can read it, and you read it in your head, if you see things like that, if you see texts, something is already moving in your head. So it's a performance. And in my case, it's even more a performance. Okay, so what are my kind of basic ideas? I'm really interested in language, spoken, but also written language as a material. I really love dynamic systems, things that change over time or in interaction with other stuff. So I like interactive stuff, things that I can manipulate or other people can change, interfere into my artwork. And also social interaction, so that other people contribute to some things I do, and so on. That's a basic idea, or some of the basic ideas, and I show some works. First, the one that is kind of the most normal one, that's kind of visual stuff I do. That's mainly consisting of text or letters. I will show only those that are understandable without knowing German or even English, because they are really abstract. And because I work with computers a lot, they're also composed or in constellations done by computers, by algorithms. Yeah, I skipped that. Sometimes it's using ideas of physics, so like gravitation, things are falling down. Yeah, pictures like that. So that's not the best resolution, but it's kind of an S in itself, or that's the F shape, some weirdly twisted. That's the K. Or that one is modeled after plants growing. So there are certain ways to model the growth of plants, and these models are text in itself. So actually that's a text that's interpreted by the computer, and it creates the placement of the letters. I won't go into detail much, but just show a few pictures. That's, for example, a massive letters falling down. That's actually the Communist Manifesto. So it's the text of the Communist Manifesto, and it just all the letters fell down. That's a kind of enlarged section of this picture. That's another mass of letters, only the same. There's only M's, and he kind of clustered himself because they all fall down like, I don't know, stones or grains of sand. So they look like stone layers or things like that. That's another one, and another. That's W's. I won't. There's a cover of a book I did. Not much to. I won't tell about everything in detail. But I also don't only do static pictures, but also videos. Like the one I want to show is a video composed of a chat where people chat about stock markets, about, I don't know, how they invest into certain kind of papers or companies or whatever. And I took the text of this chat and created the video, like the text you can see, sometimes you can read something, most of it is abstract. And then I took a sound of a radio show about stock markets as well, and created text animations and combined the sound and the image so they are totally in sync. I just showed a video. It's very abstract. Sometimes you hear some German words, but it's not really that important to understand everything in detail. see. As you can see, it's quite an old video. So I did a lot of videos like that until 2007 or so. But I also did more recent video stuff. I would like to show a small fraction of a video called Unicode. And the reason why it's called Unicode is because Unicode is a standard for... actually, the idea is to have a standard for all writing systems, like the Latin alphabet, the Cyrillic alphabet, the Arabic, the Chinese, the Japanese, and even some, I don't know, like the cuneiform letters from of Babylonian times, and really also old, ancient, not used anymore character systems, and all kinds in one standard. So I took the first 49,000 characters of this standard and just put them one after another in this video, and by some weird coincidence, or not coincidence, but because of the sequence and the standard, it makes this kind of this strange movie. So there's one character per frame, that means 25 characters per second, and in total it's 33 minutes, so I cannot show the whole because it will be very long. The most part of it is Chinese, but I will show the beginning, and you will very soon see how the animation works. So just show it. and so on. You can see there's a lot of other signs than only letters, so I don't know, all kinds of symbols. To my surprise, it really got popular in the internet, so a lot of people watched this and commented on it, and this was really, I don't know, I thought it was really a very abstract and kind of conceptual video, but people somehow liked it. You never know what people like. I also did apps for mobile devices, starting in 2010, because a lot of my artist friends did that, and I thought I could also try it. And the first one was called like this. Was my first app experiment. Was just letters in movement, and people could manipulate it with sound. And I won't talk that much about it. I'll show a short video, and it should become clear what it's about. I did some more. I won't show the next one. We'll show this one that's called Tractatus Infinitus, and it's kind of inspired by the Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus by Ludwig Wittgenstein. And it's a virtual reality app, so you can fly through kind of remake or a kind of travesty of Ludwig Wittgenstein's text. It's not his real text, it's kind of taking parts of it. And it's a kind of visual poetry, sound poetry, virtual reality app. I showed the very short video where you usually put your phone on these kind of glasses and you hold it in front of your eyes and you see three-dimensional, and when you move your head, you can fly through the text. So this won't happen here in the video because it's only 2D, but you will see a little bit how you fly through the text.
Elementary. Possibility.
yeah, that's so much about apps. But I also do performance. I don't know, maybe some of you have been there the day before yesterday. So, because I've seen so many readings, and sometimes I got bored, like maybe you experienced it too, I was interested to create something that was not a normal reading, kind of time-based experience with text and sound, so more like a performance than a normal reading. Also involving sometimes my body. Of course, if I speak, it's already involving my body because the voice is part of the body, or I don't know if there is even a separation between mind and body, but we can discuss that later. And also because I work with computers a lot and I like to kind of also show the relation between our way of creating and understanding text and technology, because technology has always and will always kind of influence how we create and perceive text. So that was the goal, and I started with doing a performance that had a fixed sound layer, and me and my voice was kind of competing to this fixed sound layer, and the visualization was kind of enabling me to play some very small games with my voice against the voice of the computer, so to say. I showed you a small excerpt of that. Yeah, I'll stop here because it's going on for quite some time. But you can already see that it's kind of this computer game-like aesthetics that later on was also in the app and also in the performance, which was before the app, which has the same name, coincidentally. Because I was a little bit fed up with this, having the computer do something and me do something, and it was kind of, the computer had this fixed track where I was kind of improvising over it, and it was kind of not that satisfying. So I decided to create something where everything was live. So there was live sound and live visuals, and I could create some synesthetic effect where my voice was sampled and recorded by the computer, and the computer then played with it, but it was all created in a live environment. And that was the performance I showed the day before yesterday. It incorporates also a physics simulation. So sometimes the letters fall down and they hit each other and they go from left to right and they can turn, and when they hit they get reflected. So that's kind of managed by a physics simulation done by the computer. But also other dynamic systems like ant-like movements, or some of the letters move like insects, and that's not by coincidence, that's because it's modeled like that. So they have this kind of small brain and they look for other letters and try to hit them and things like that. Yeah, like biology, physics, and also a little bit of chemistry where some letters attach to each other as if they were small crystals growing. I will show the video. I will maybe break it. Stop. Yeah, so all of these letters are created live while performing, and I cannot also always say what they're doing because the computer has this mind of its own and so on. Yeah, as I kind of started, I told you that this presentation is also kind of a performance, and I like it that way. So it's a presentation as a performance, and the presentation is already in the system where you've seen me perform in this performance. So I can, I skip that. So I can do things like, I don't know, have the computer speak and another voice. And that's not a video, that's created in real time by the computer. But I could also do things like ask the audience for a word. I would need one very short English word.
Mouse.
Mouse? So I could type mouse. And then what the computer does is it looks for a similar word. It has a spell checking algorithm, and it looks for similar words, and from these similar words again for similar words, and then it speaks it with a voice.
Moose, mouse, mouse, mouses, mouse, mooses, mouse, modes, moles, mo used, mouse, d. South, south, das, sus, south, south, spouse, rise, last, mouse, house, so use, Susie. Rise, rose, rouses, arouse, grass, reuse, sass, rouse, strut, last, das, rouge, mouse. Moose, muse, moose, morose, loose, mouse, goose, moosey. Louse, louses, last, blouse, sauce, rise, loose, das, mouse, house, lousy, house, low use, louse. Douse, douche, sass, dose, douses, douse, dust, rise, last, mouse, house, do use. House, hose, houses, house, souse, horse, rise, last, douse, mouse, ho use. Mousey, mousey, lousy, mousey. House, souse, rise, last, douse, mouse, house, ho use, hose, houses, housed, horse.
Yeah, that was a good one. Usually it's only 1 or 2 pages. Yeah, but it can also do things like in a performance, like I did, this, for example.
Dene, den, die, nede, niet, die, eden, eend, enit, edne, ende.
Which means end in German. Yeah, thank you. Now I'm going to play this piece called A, E, I, O, U, Ä, Ö, U, which is a little bit similar to some of the names you heard before. Why is it called like that? It's basically the 8 vowels of the German language, or the 8 written vowels of the German language. There are some more, but they're not written. And because it's my first performance for 8 loudspeakers, for 8 channels, I said I would keep it simple. So there's A, E, I, O, U, Ä, Ö, U, and they stay that way. So if it's A, then it's always coming from here. If it's I, it's always coming from here. Yeah, and that's what it's all about, and I will play it. O, U, Ü, A, E.
Большое спасибо Йоргу Пирингеру. Если есть желание, мы можем устроить небольшую сессию ответов и вопросов. Если нет, тогда мы просто отпускаем друг друга. Есть вопросы?
Анонс анонсировать. У меня есть вопрос. Ну я только по-русски.
Сейчас я переведу. Я просто хочу микрофон поднести. Ага, чтобы всем было слышно.
Просто возник вопрос, вот постоянно был шрифт один и тот же. Возможно, как-то еще шрифтом можно было вдохновляться, и как бы изменилась при этом полностью, вот, как сказать, ткань искусства этого, если бы еще менялся шрифт плюс ко всему.
So the question is, it's always about the same font. So what would it be if you, play a little bit with the font, and what kind of art would come out of it? What do you think?
The reason why I use only this font is because it's a font I like, and, and it's free. It's a free font. The reason why I don't use that much any other font is because I'm not that much interested in real typography. I'm more interested in the shape of the letter. I use, because that's, the font is called Déjà Vu, so there are also two other variants. So there's the one with the serifs, with the legs. I also use the one without the serifs, so it depends on which context, but in this presentation and in the videos I mostly use this one, but I also did some other, but it's not, for me it's not really that important.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for your work. I like every performance and your work. I have two questions. The first question is about source of inspiration. It is interesting, what was your first work? And the second question is about code. There were a lot of games with text and natural languages. Maybe you have played in other works with computer programming languages to see parts of computer codes instead of letters, natural letters. Thanks.
Computer codes, there is nothing else but letters. What do you? I mean, it's all Unicode characters. Come on. Ну, так все равно это те же буквы, буквы-то те же.
Regarding the first question, it's hard to say what was the first. Well, to be honest, I started writing completely normal poetry when I was 17 or something. It was very bad poetry, but when I discovered that, first I was really, I don't know, when you're 17, you are very, very concerned about yourself and how you feel and all this stuff. So I wrote about myself, and then I discovered maybe it's more interesting to write about other things and to work in different forms. And then I discovered, okay, a lot of these things that come up have been done before by other poets, and I tried more and more to find my own language. And in a way, working with computer and with contemporary technology was a way to find my own language. Because, yeah, I don't know, people have done some things with typewriters and all these things, and yeah, I can repeat that, but I'm not that much interested in repeating stuff than working with the media of today, so to say. And the second one, what was the second question?
About code and about maybe you played with not letters, but parts of the computer code functions.
Not that much. I try to maybe not hide the code, but not. Well, there's a huge scene of doing live coding and stuff, and for me it's a little bit of fetishizing the code thing, and I'm not that much interested. Also because then I think only a very specialized audience can really see all the relations and the connotations. I'm not that much interested into, maybe because I come from computer science and I'm a little bit fed up with all the computer scientists being so very, I don't know, very proud of being able to code and understand the computers, and it can be really, really, really tiring. And that's a little bit that puts me away from showing the code and doing, I don't know, kind of demonstrating that I'm so tech savvy that I can control these things. I'd like to keep it a little bit away and maybe make it more accessible in a way. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but.
Еще вопросы?
Ну, я же тоже могу. Well, I have a question which is, I don't even expect the answer to it. It's just maybe some attempt at it. So you use letters in physical space, in biological shapes. You create chemistries of letters. You visualize them, like the way they move. Especially in the last piece, they remind us also of the space that lacks gravity. So that's kind of spatial flight. So why is it interesting to use letters in these contexts? Well, it's a funny question because you know that I do the same thing all my life, so I'm curious to know your answer.
Well, main part is maybe because I still consider myself as a poet, and I don't want to go. There are poets I know that gone the way to do it completely asemic. They call it asemic writing. They just write something that maybe could be a letter, but it's maybe not a letter. But I think also, because I think all these letters, in English they're called characters, which is a nice coincidence, or maybe it's not a coincidence, because they also have a character. When you see, as a German speaker, you see the shape of the letter R. In German it's R, and it's already, if you pronounce it, and if you don't pronounce it, you have this in your head. It already evokes some ideas in which word it's used, or it's maybe an aggressive sound because it's R, or it has this meaning, and that's already a character. And so working with this is. People sometimes complain that it's so abstract, what I do. I don't think it's too abstract because people see these letters and they have associations and they have ideas about it. It's maybe abstract if I go in a Chinese village and show it there where they can't read the Latin alphabet. Maybe then it's really abstract. But for, I don't know, in Europe it's even here where it's not the prominent writing system, you associate some parts of it. I think that's maybe why I still use letters, but there are many other reasons.
So it's sort of a novel. You put characters in unusual situations.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, there's this novel Flatland where it's about shapes, and for me it's a character land where it's about. It's also because it's funny when people after the show come to me and they tell me they've seen this and this and the characters do this. It's kind of already a narrative that happens in people's minds, but also because I planned it in a way. So it's kind of this abstract narration or the continuum between concrete and abstract narration.
Exactly, this is what I was going to say. It's concrete, actually. Thank you.
You work with speech synthesis. That's such a weird word
Synthesis.
to say. Synthesis.
Yeah,
Good.
it's hard.
Thank you. In English, right? So with the mouse thing, is that a program you wrote yourself?
No, the speech is from the computer.
Oh.
And actually that was because in the Mac there's various voices. I usually also do it in German, so I could switch it to German as well.
So you have a German speech synthesis?
Yeah. It's all. I didn't write it. It's all in the computer. You can also speak Russian and Arabic and stuff. It's really fun to play with. I did also pieces where Hungarian voice spoke German text, and you can all do these things. And this voice was not a normal standard English, but it was Indian English. So it's an Indian accent. There's also Scottish English and American. And
could you tell me how that program's called? I'm a speech scientist, so that's super interesting for me.
Well, it's just a standard Mac in the operating system. You can write a text and then have it spoken.
Okay.
You can do it with the operating system. You actually don't need a special program for it.
Okay, I'll find it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
And another question, if that's okay.
Sure.
How did you do accentuations, rhythmical accentuations in your last piece? A, I, I, U, U.
Well, that is actually, it's my own voice, and I recorded various samples of the vowels, like and I repeated it, and in the computer program I can just have the computer choose randomly which of the samples. So I recorded and they're not always the same because I'm a human and not a computer. So, and then I played it live with, I have this small keyboard where I hit the buttons, and the harder I hit, the more accentuated it is. And sometimes it's a little bit random, but when I really hit hard, then it's louder. When I hit, also I recorded variants like so short, mid,
okay, and you're playing long. With the melody as well.
It's not really the melody, it's more the length. The melody is more coincidental.
Okay, yeah, sure. So that there is a code behind that, actually.
Well, not really a code. It's more like the music program I used. It's more like played live and recorded then, and then a little bit manipulated. But yeah, it's more like me playing on a keyboard.
As far as I understood, now it's also your first book. Yeah. So what's this about, and when will it be out?
The book. I just finished the manuscript, or maybe it's not. Maybe manuscript is the wrong word, because manuscript means writing with your hand, and I didn't write any text of it myself, but it was all written by the computer. So I wrote this long series of programs that writes text. So it takes information from searches in the internet, or it trains neural networks that talk to each other, or it just repeats sentences in a very weird way. And I took an old program from the 60s and kind of remade it that generates stories and all things like that. I made, I don't know how many texts, I don't remember. And I also did images like the first ones I showed you, also made with a computer program. And that's basically the book, so a lot of different texts made with different ideas. And I also explain a little bit how these things work. And it will be out in October, I think. Unfortunately, it will be in German, so.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So,
thank you for the invitation and for asking nice questions. It was really...
Anytime. Да, ну и сейчас мы... Самая послесловная часть — это анонсы того, чего вас ждет на фестивале.